seconds. Thank you everybody for joining Broad Sky's June webinar focusing on cellular SD-WAN technology. We're rolling out a new solution that we're super excited to talk to everybody about. That's very timely in today's day and age. On with me, we have Bo Barker, our VP of Technology, the always stunning Bo Barker. Just a couple of housekeeping items off the top. This webinar is being recorded and will be distributed. The full webinar along with the deck, the Q&A, everything that we talk about from start to finish will be distributed to everybody that joined the webinar. So I know that's one of the big questions that we get. So you will get it. And if you want it, or if you want to be able to distribute it, you can feel free to contact your Broad Sky regional channel manager along with it. I am Ash Kakish, your host for today, Midwest channel manager here with Broad Sky, based out of Chicago. And as we kind of go through this deck, the chat box is open. Feel free to ask questions as we go along, and we will try to answer them in the timeliest way possible. So with that being said, let's get off and running. For those of you that are new to Broad Sky, we are part of an ecosystem underneath Epic.io, focusing on IoT, AI, and general wireless solutions. Our sister company, IntelliSite, is one of the leaders, really one of the top IoT lifecycle companies, focusing on both ground-up, custom-built IoT solutions as well as IoT integration. So Broad Sky, obviously we focus on wireless, internet access. We've been around for 20 years or so. We are channel focused. And really what we try to do is make wireless easy and make it work so that you as the partner don't have to stress about the wireless solution. The customer doesn't have to, spend a lot of time managing it. We make it so it's a seamless solution, and it's really part of our culture, and it has been since the beginning of our time. We work with obviously failover for wireless internet, and the largest growing segment of our solution is really primary connectivity, wireless first connectivity for customers that are hampered by either limited infrastructure or a lack of availability when it comes to traditional wired networks. And so for primary internet access, we do long-term and short-term agreements, temporary internet. We have a whole line of LTE POTS replacement solutions, replacing expensive copper POTS, as well as mentioned earlier through our sister company, IntelliSite, focusing on IoT and AI. So I like to joke around and say, when it comes to the IoT space, Broad Sky puts the I in IoT. And I know many of you are laughing your heads off at that joke. So just let me know how funny that was later. But it comes down to providing cutting edge wireless and IoT solutions to the channel. Really our focus today on our agenda and what we're going to focus on is our brand new, rolling it out today, introductory CSD-WAN solution. And everybody's familiar with SD-WAN. It's been in the channel for a number of years. Our focus is really to be able to bring SD-WAN, but wireless first, the C standing for cellular. A lot of companies are moving to wireless first. There's a lot of expensive edge networking infrastructure that they're trying to get away from. SD-WAN came along to disrupt the MPLS market. And we believe wireless first CSD-WAN is coming along to disrupt traditional SD-WAN, being able to integrate both the wireless component as well as the wired component, is incredibly important to build a truly nimble network that meets the needs of today's customer, whose geography is really changing. There is more branch locations per corporation than there has ever been before. And the reason for that increase in branch locations is because of the work from home employees. And really, when you think about it from an IT perspective and from a network perspective, work from home, each site is a branch. You have somebody there connecting to your network, that is now your branch. And so when an organization had 5 or 6 offices and now they have 200 people working from anywhere, you've now gone from 5 or 6 locations to 200 plus locations. And so our CSD-WAN solution really meets that need. And we're going to do a very deep dive. We're going to go through the portal. We're going to show you how it works. And we want you guys to leave here fully informed on what we're offering so that you can both meet the needs of your customer and generate revenue in a market that is really poised to break through. So looking at SD-WAN as an opportunity, it's been around for a long time, right? There was WAN optimization, WAN acceleration products that has kind of morphed into really what we know now as software-defined networking. A lot of acquisition, a lot of growth. Really Cisco is involved, and VMware is involved, and just about every major telecom carrier is involved. And so for us here at BroadSky, when we take a look at the SD-WAN marketplace, part of the research that we've done is to understand, well, what drives the move to SD-WAN? And one of the biggest reasons that customers move from an MPLS or a dedicated network to more of a software-defined network is that, number one is always it's cost savings, right? MPLS is expensive. It costs a lot of money to maintain. It costs a lot of money to install. It's very, very time consuming to manage. But more than just cost savings, while cost is important, business continuity is just as important for SD-WAN. Being able to put a nimble network together, leveraging carrier redundancy, putting together a true DR strategy to provide the constant uptime that businesses need becomes very important. And with that, we look at, as companies move into the cloud-based application management becomes more important. Being able to put together an architecture that is both nimble and versatile is incredibly important as well. All of that, all of those reasons combined together for a estimated $8.4 billion in revenue by 2025. And so that's a big number, and a lot of that coming through the channel. A lot of growth in the SD-WAN market in the channel, but the opportunity is enormous. So the next question you ask yourself is, okay, well, first we resolve the why are people moving to SD-WAN, and I think that's probably more of a refresher than anything else for the people on this call. But when we look at who is buying SD-WAN, and particularly the decision makers, right? At the C-suite, SD-WAN is all about controlling costs, really managing the process, leveraging the network technology to drive better application performance, and really being able to gather data on your network. And then the IT director, obviously the C-suite looks at it from one end, the IT director will always look at it from another end, right? How do I make sure everybody's connected? How do I make sure everybody's up? Leveraging our resources to the best possible way, and really just making sure that the branch employees and the employees at the sites can connect to the network and stabilize applications in a way that's really and truly effective. And so two different focuses, two different splits, and a lot of opportunities are generated on the business side first, and some are coming at it from the IT side. But SD-WAN really solves for a lot of that. So when you look at requirements, and this is pretty standard across most SD-WAN opportunities, right? First thing we need to look at is, well, can I get connectivity at all the locations? Not just one connection, right? But can I get a primary location? Can I get a secondary connection? Do I need a tertiary connection? How many connections do I need to ensure that my downtime risk tolerance is met? How quickly can I change over, right? How nimble is the platform? Am I able to add and drop connections, at a minute's notice? Can I set up site-to-site tunnels? Can I manage application performances? Can I do it all remotely? Does anything have to be done at the site? And then what does, obviously most importantly, the compliance look like, right? Can I meet my compliance requirements, whether it's government or various industry regulations in the financial healthcare industry? All of those come together, and all of that is being analyzed by both the C-suite and the IT directors and the technical people at the location. So all of which has to be addressed in a robust, usable SD-WAN solution. It can't be ignored. And so one of the challenges to any SD-WAN sale, and I think if you've attempted to sell SD-WAN in the last few years, you have no doubt come across this challenge, is that we can't get the connectivity that you need. I need at least 2 connections, at least 3 connections, meeting a certain minimum throughput in order to migrate away from my MPLS solution to SD-WAN. And most partners and customers find that a lot of branch locations, you're lucky if you get 1 great connection, let alone 2. So you're very limited, particularly in rural areas. And as the geography of companies changes and more companies are getting away from expensive urban areas and find they're able to do the exact same type of work with the same productivity in smaller branch locations, a lot of them being work from home, the costs just don't make sense. If I can't get good connections, good connectivity, and I can't get the type of throughput that I'm looking for, then I don't want to spend the money on this solution, especially considering most SD-WAN solutions are in the $300 to $600 range per site, depending on the feature set that you're looking for. And so BroadSky here, our CSD-WAN solution, and this is really the meat of it, right? What we focus on is wireless first technology. The availability of 5G, the robustness of an existing 4G network across the carriers really allows for a truly resilient and redundant SD-WAN solution without ever actually needing a wired connection. What we're doing here is giving you the ability to provide that network along with, bring your own bandwidth when it comes to the wired connection. So kind of going through these, number 1, cellular SD-WAN, CSD-WAN provides connectivity across the entire company. It's incredibly important. Keeping people connected, keeping them up, having what we call the unbreakable internet has never been more important than ever, particularly as customers really start to, branch out in their location. How do you keep people connected as new sites are popping up all the time? And your work from home employees are moving from one subdivision to another. They're moving from the city to the suburbs, from the suburbs to the beach. And how do we make sure that everybody stays connected? And how do we make sure everything stays secure? But it's also more than just having good wireless connectivity. It's being able to combine that wired connection. Existing SD-WAN solutions now really think wireless last, right? So if you were to look at, any number of SD-WAN solutions on the market, the 4G, 5G component, the wireless component is really an afterthought. They're thinking software first, and then they're going, from that, right, being able to think the hardware, the software, and then just kind of slapping a 4G modem, maybe a 5G modem onto it without thinking much for the quality. What you guys know about BroadSky is that, we are a wireless first organization. What BroadSky really excels at is bringing fast, robust wireless internet to the customer. And we do that through a number of ways, right? Our gold standard, which combines the best carrier at the site, along with really the best hardware that's going to meet it. So our routers are multi-frequency, and it's going to provide an enterprise-grade wireless connection. So when you think wireless first and you think, I need this to be just as fast on the wireless side as it is on the wired side, BroadSky really becomes your first thought. And that's just as important from an SD-WAN solution. Moving to this type of topology, if you can't get a good wireless connection, then you're not really maximizing your benefit. Another part of our SD-WAN solution here is that it's carrier agnostic. We work with Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T here in the States, Verizon, TELUS, and Bell in Canada. And our international footprint is growing across Mexico and Latin America, being able to procure local internet connection. And so for us, it doesn't really make a difference who the underlying carrier is, where if it's an SD-WAN solution managed by the carrier, you're going to be stuck with that carrier's wireless product. For us, we want to deliver the best wireless connection at the site, no matter who the underlying carrier is. And with that, giving you as the customer and the partner a single pane of glass to manage it and monitor it. Customers want access. They want to be able to manage their own solution. They want to be able to put their hands on something and make the changes that they want to make when they need it. So our SD-WAN solution lowers the costs of that by offering a customer managed version of it. And it's really primarily customer managed. Customer managed, supported by BroadSky, giving you, the customer and the partner, complete control over their SD-WAN environment with the power of BroadSky Wireless supporting it. And so the solution has been around in the marketplace for a while. Some of you might have known it as our badass solution, where we're aggregating bandwidth. But the rollout here is to really not just give you bandwidth aggregation, which is a very useful tool that and a lot of our customers are using, but to unlock the feature set for a fully robust and customizable SD-WAN solution. So with that, when we talk about a fully integrated SD-WAN solution, what are we talking about, right? We're talking about the hardware, which includes the branch sites. So we've got slimmed down versions for work from home employees, branch sites, and then more robust, beefy boxes for corporate offices and for data centers. Obviously, the wireless data component is included in there. It's a key element to BroadSky. Being able to provide the right data package for the right site, whether we're talking about just backup or whether we need unlimited wireless data options. Both are coming along with the CSD-WAN solution. Feature-rich, fully functioning feature set, which we'll cover and kind of walk you through the portal. But that includes bandwidth aggregation, WAN optimization, packet duplication, really being able to move from one connection to another and to have be able to customize the connectivity for the site that you need. Not having to worry about pesky licensing. If you've bought an SD-WAN solution through a major brand recently, you understand that licensing really becomes a pain, right? Whether it's licensing on the hardware, software, this feature comes with this license, but that feature doesn't, need to look at a different license. And so we are trying to make the CSD-WAN solution work just as easily as our wireless solutions do. So bundling in all the licensing that's needed, making it so that it's not very complicated. And then obviously the cloud management portal, which we're going to show you guys to be able to manage it, maintain it, make the changes that you need to make on the fly, right? Put sites up, turn them on, turn them off, make applications accessible, make them not accessible, but it's a fully managed cloud platform. And so I think, on the line with us is Bo Walker, our VP of Technology, and he's going to chime in here. But when we talk about the unbreakable internet, right? SpeedFusion Cloud really allows us to do that. Being able to provide bandwidth bonding, being able to create packet duplication to correct for packet loss, and then really being able to protect the customer through automatic failover, keeping it up and running. That is what makes our CSD-WAN solution truly unique in the marketplace, is that it's wireless first, and we lead with that while also being able to integrate that wired connection. And with that, I'm gonna kind of hand it over to Bo, and he's gonna walk you guys to the portal and kind of show you, open up the hood, show you how the engine runs, and please, again, feel free to ask questions at any time in the chat.
Awesome. Thanks, Ash. Could you, for some reason in this Zoom session, it's not allowing me to take over this. Would you mind shutting yours down real quick? No.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So we will.
Okay, so we do have one question in the chat. With this, are you able to provide your own static IPs unrelated to the cellular provider? Should also then allow more than one IP address, and that is definitely a Bo question.
Yeah, so answering that live, I think that a lot of you are probably familiar with Big Leaf. Big Leaf certainly has a unique niche in their ability to provide an IP scope behind the cellular, or I'm sorry, the SD-WAN boxes. In a manner of speaking, yes, we can. It depends on the technical details of it. Different instance types We have the ability to aggregate this in an on-prem scenario. We have the ability to aggregate it in a cloud scenario. So we are able to layer IP addressing on behind that. However, I will caveat that with BroadSky doesn't own IP space. So it would be client IP or the hosting environment in which we launched the virtual instances where we would acquire those IPs. But so I guess that's both a yes and no, but not in the same way that that Big Leaf is doing it today.
Awesome, thanks, Bo. All right, take it away.
All right.
Let's give him a peek.
Sounds good. So we don't often do live real-time demos. So this is kind of a fun job for me to do today, and kind of be in here live in the portal and showing you guys all this information. To start off with, this is just a little sandbox that I work out of, so it doesn't represent a ton of devices in here. But as you can see, you get the status, the online, offline, the total devices in that particular deployment, and how many clients are connected to the deployment. So right now there's 3. I did work this scenario where I'm working from home, as if I'm an at-home worker and remote, and so kind of have things set up for that, and I'll show you why, or maybe we'll talk about that towards the end here. So I'll just jump into my test group where my devices are. Kind of going back to that, you can have multiple groups under an account. So if you are an MSP or a partner that likes to kind of handle that deployment, or you have a client that wants to segment out their views and their reporting, they're able to do that in this portal, and create sub accounts under the primary account with different access levels for different users. We're not going to go deep into that today. Really, what I want to show you here is with SD-WAN in today's world, Ash hit on it. We have to have at least 2 connections. Otherwise, what's the point? So with that, you typically have your endpoint, and then you have some other point of presence, whether that's in the cloud or a physical location, to sort of recombine the traffic. Fundamentally, SD-WAN technology works off VPN technology. So as Ash was saying, there's a lot of things like packet reassembly and forward error correction that go on over multiple tunnels simultaneously to create that ultra stable, unbreakable internet connection. So what I have here is I have an endpoint. This is a quad cellular endpoint, field deployable for both fixed and mobile locations, and it's quad 5G radios. If you've been in on any of our earlier webinars, we've talked about these new 5G radios and the hardware that we sell also being category 20 LTE. So they're both category 20 LTE radios and 5G NR radios in the same box, in the same radio. So that's kind of exciting technology to have at our fingertips for a lot of deployments where it makes sense. So I also have in here a couple of units. This is a virtual instance hosted in AWS in the Oregon region. And this is an on-prem instance at one of our data centers in Bend, Oregon. So I'm able to take my field units like this quad cellular unit or this single 5G cellular unit and point them towards one or more of these instances. So for time purposes today, I'm just going to step through my unit here being connected to the virtual hosted instance in AWS. So that configuration is pretty quick and easy when you're talking about a distributed network. You can go in here, you get to see on the map some visualizations if GPS is turned on. At request, we turn on GPS, so you get those geolocations and points on the map. I obviously already have this set up, so I'm just going to walk through kind of what that setup looks like as you're going through it, or as we go through it, I should say. So you get a list of devices here, and again, I'm going to use this quad cellular unit here, and I want it to connect to that AWS virtual instance in Oregon, the nearest point of presence to me. So I select those 2 devices, and I just go to next. You have the ability to name the profile in whatever manner you want it to be called. And profile is important because you can have multiple points of presence, multiple cloud hosted instances to drop traffic to, route things to. We're talking SD-WAN, so you can have multiple points of presence across the United States, Canada. I mean, anywhere there's an AWS region, we can certainly serve, and some other regions that might be outside the AWS ecosystem. One of the things to note here, we are a security first, I guess wireless first, security first company. So we always go with the 256 AES encryption turned on by default. So you can kind of rest assured that at least the tunnels are encrypted going out of this. There's some traffic steering and some rule sets that only allow traffic coming from this device to the hub. So we don't recommend the off position there. Data ports, just communication to the cloud management platform. And that typically just goes over UDP. That can be customized or adjusted depending on the scenario where the host is and what ports on a firewall you would like the traffic to flow through for management traffic. Link failure detection time is really our engine to control the intelligence in switching WAN sources, whether that be wired or cellular. You can set it to different modes. So here you can see I have fast. I want it to switch over, and I want my links to be checked fairly aggressively. But you can go here and set it to an extreme level every 1 second. And I will say that compared to say Meraki, for example, when it attempts to switch over from wired WAN to cellular in its SD-WAN component, there is a almost 4-minute cycle time that a person can get caught up in before that switchover occurs. So we allow a little bit more granular control of that system and how the failover works. So like I said, you can go extreme on up to just a recommended approximately 15-second check time on the WAN source. So depending on the deployment scenario. WAN smoothing is one of the functions of SD-WAN and certainly a function of this platform. So you have different levels that are selectable here as well. All of this would be pre-configured based on our kind of pre-engineering conversation for a particular deployment. But for today's demonstration purposes, I'm just using medium. So it does increase the bandwidth overhead because of the packet duplication, but it also ensures that WAN traffic is smooth, uninterrupted, and is able to fail over and fail back very quickly without dropping sessions. Forward error correction, or FEC, those of you that know that terminology. Again, we're replicating forward packets and ensuring that all packets arrive on time and in the appropriate order they were sent. Most important were VoIP calls to maintain voice quality, eliminate jitter. So you have the options here of disabling or go with a low or high mode. Path cost is just typical OSPF values that are set default to a 10. And then if you have a mix of different types of circuits, so I'll use the example of a cable circuit, an LTE circuit, and maybe a satellite circuit in there. Satellite, as we know, has higher latency than a lot of IP-based connections that are out there today, just the physics of traveling up to space and back. So maybe you don't want that to be mixed into the loop because of the latency or a latency sensitive application. So for satellite, we could for example, go, anything above 500 milliseconds. I don't even want to try to broadcast over that link in bonding and WAN smoothing. Whereas the LTE and cable connections will be very close in latency. So with those settings all there, we go next. It gives you this review section here. Again, this is something that our engineering team sets up, but just wanted to walk through kind of how that looks, and then finish. And from that point, we then are looking at the device level, where I now have an established tunnel connection to that hub, that virtualized hub. Everything's up and running there. As we can see here, I have different priority levels that I can set WAN sources to. So this particular box has 2 wired WANs. There is an optional LAN port that you can change to a WAN. So technically you'd have 3 wired WANs coming in here, as well as the 4 LTE connections. So just showing an example here, we can see WAN 1 is connected. I'm also connected to an LTE carrier, T-Mobile here and Verizon here. These 3 connections are running simultaneously. And I have a backup T-Mobile connection and a backup AT&T connection, just kind of show priority levels. Down here, I could have a 4th priority level if I wanted to. It gets that granular. Down here, I have my WAN 2 disabled. I'm not using it. And my Wi-Fi WAN is also disabled, not in use, but both options for additional WAN connectivity. So real quick, I'm just going to unplug. I'm going to unplug this WAN 1, just see what happens to us here. All right, cable is out. I really wanted to try to arrange a more visceral demonstration. So for those of you, when we get to the end here, I'll mention about setting up one-on-ones where we can take deeper dives into this. And I love the visceral cord cut. So I didn't have the opportunity to set that up for this demonstration. So I just physically unplugged from my WAN source and my link detection. It's failed its DNS test, which is one of the link detection parameters. And so I'm now fully operational on only the LTE circuits here. And I'll go ahead and plug that back in so we can kind of show a fail back mechanism. And there we go. And so it'll just run through some checks here on the quality of the WAN source, the wired WAN source. I think that's really important in any application that's doing failover, failback. It needs to understand whether or not that WAN source is backup steady, or if it's in the case of like a cable modem, you're seeing flapping activity and constantly failing over, failing back. Don't want that. So it's working through some things there. It will detect the MTU values and come back in to join these other 2 circuits in the network. We did mention SpeedFusion Cloud. SpeedFusion Cloud is really kind of a one-to-one type connection that someone can make from a particular endpoint. And that connection is able to use different endpoints than what we would deploy necessarily in AWS. So as you can see here, there's some worldwide endpoints, many options in the United States for an endpoint. So you can create another cloud location. So let's say right now I'm connected to AWS in the Oregon region. I want to maybe drop some traffic over on the East Coast in New York City, or I want that as a redundant backup, redundant center for my cloud connectivity. I can go ahead and spin that up and then apply those changes here. If we go back into the other options here, certain clients can be routed to the cloud through their IP address, MAC ID. You can link specific Wi-Fi SSIDs if that's part of the deployment parameters, having Wi-Fi broadcast. And this is really kind of exciting, where we're able to really steer certain cloud applications to the nearest host point for that cloud application. So there's some built-in like Google, Microsoft, Zoom, Microsoft Office 365, in that Microsoft family. It's a really cool application, really cool way to get the traffic a little bit closer to the host of that service. Jumping into this piece of it, the boxes are your typical networking component, WAN, LAN. You can create VLANs, static IP, LAN statics, obviously pretty standard stuff in here. No major bells and whistles in this portion. Can certainly go in and do things with the ports. This box has PoE, so if I had phones or APs hanging off of here, they would be powered. I can label all my ports. Captive portal, again, if you're using a Wi-Fi type application on-prem, splash page, a way to authenticate users out to radius if needed. There's a lot of different options here, a lot of flexibility. And then we saw the WAN connectivity in the dashboard view. Going over to the advanced section, really the engine behind this is not only speed fusion, not only are we bonding these connections, but we're creating some policy-based rules that tell us where, when, and how to route that traffic. So right now, I'm enforcing any of my connection traffic to that AWS hub. I can split that traffic. I can do things like, maybe I don't want to bond those connections together. I want to just kind of do some load balancing. And for some applications, I might want that to go out whatever is available and lowest latency, or perhaps the fastest response time. There are a set of rules in here that go through. You can set up your source traffic by IP address or network MAC address, SSID, as well as the destination side by IP address. Now, I'm sorry, was there a question?
Nope. No, I think this is great. Go ahead, Will. I think somebody, yeah, no, this is, so for those of you that are keeping score at home, right? Not only did we have seamless transition once connectivity was lost, but being able to get in and granularly customize your network settings gives you everything you could ever want, hope for, or dream of in an SD-WAN solution. So am I right or am I wrong here?
I think so, and I certainly hope our partners think so. I think it's a great product. We're really excited about it, and there's a path here where we will be layering in additional services and features and functionality. So it's only going to get better.
Yeah.
So like what you see today, that's where we're going with it.
Now we did have a question in the chat regarding the mobile workforce, RVs, trailers, and whatnot, and they really bring in, Jim brings up a great point for why this solution exists and why we're bringing it to market. With COVID being on the rise and remote workers, tripling and quadrupling in some areas, right? Even more than that. I mean, everybody's working from home now, unless you have to physically be in an office. And I think we're going to be working from home for the foreseeable future. The question is this a solution that would speak to the end user that demands business bandwidth, but does not maintain a static physical location? And the answer to that is unequivocally, absolutely. This is exactly what this solution is built for the remote user that is not tied to a wired network, but needs to be able to stay connected and in a consistent and uniform way in order to satisfy the enterprise requirements. This is exactly what this solution does, being able to offer a wireless first approach to SD-WAN.
Absolutely, and that one's near and dear to my heart. Got some family that's kind of boondocking or doing that travel, and can certainly shed some light on that experience. It's a booming market. If you look at the RV space today, a lot of the WineGuard, the antenna systems that they're installing for TV broadcast are now coming with Wi-Fi and LTE built in. So essentially, they're giving you an outdoor antenna. You don't have to do any penetrations, and you can connect our box up to that existing antenna. The boxes, typically run on either AC or DC power. So in the solar applications, you're seeing more and more of the new RVs built with solar. So they can run on DC or AC both, or through the onboard conversion. So it's really flexible and certainly a powerful application, even if they're considering something like Starlink that can, I believe, now be mobile for those who can get it, layering LTE in when Starlink isn't available, or using that LTE first and bonding Starlink with it, using 2 LTE connections. It gives that mobile user a really robust connection that they couldn't have before without SD-WAN and bonding type technologies. So
awesome.
Really like that question. It's great.
Yeah. Thank you for the portal demo there, Bo. And stick with me here, and as we go through the rest of this. So kind of as you saw, right, Our solution offers really everything you need and is completely customizable to the business case. Bandwidth bonding is by far probably one of our biggest strategic advantages in being able to offer robust data connections in remote and rural areas. But you saw Bo drop off his WAN connection, and we felt absolutely no loss on the Zoom call. And that's incredibly important. Having unbreakable internet, being able to incorporate WAN smoothing, forward error correction, being able to provide that continuity, right? Through your primarily your wireless connections is incredibly important. And because our hardware provides high level of, it's really enterprise grade, great frequency, being able to pull the best signal from the best carrier. It's got that broad sky touch on the wireless side. We're able to combine the software elements to give the customer really a great experience, being able to provide that. And so when we look at how you build your SD-WAN solution here with BroadSky, right? The first thing we always want to do, and because this is, this isn't a transactional product. It's not like, hey, Ash, can you give me a quick quote for some CSD-WAN, right? We want to make sure we understand the business outcomes first. So doing some discovery with you as the partner, bringing in Bo and the rest of our engineering team. And from there, we want to design it. We want to document it. And then obviously we want to execute it. So the solutions are custom built to fit what you're looking for. But the big thing is it's easy to sell and easy to deploy. The device comes on site, pre-provisioned, and from there, it's managed and maintained by the customer while being supported by the BroadSky engineering team. And that's incredibly important. It keeps our costs down, keeps the customer in control of their environment, which is really what they want. But it provides us the ability to give your customer the BroadSky experience on something that we're already really good at. And so when we talk about the stuff we're good at, right? Advanced wireless technology, wireless first. And this is what's really important, is you can get a wireless modem in just about any box, but you're not going to get the BroadSky touch on your wireless experiences. That really what we call our gold standard approach. So at any area, right, depending on how great the coverage is, whether they're urban or whether they're rural, we're able to put a good, better, best in, right? So a good solution is, single carrier, single SIM, offering you download speeds of 60 to 120 meg. A better solution is obviously when we start to incorporate a 5G element, but really the best possible solution that BroadSky offers, and really where we're steering our partners and customers towards, is multi-carrier, kind of like you saw, multi-SIM, multi-carrier, grabbing the best of the LTE, 4G LTE signals that are available, and adding to it 5G elements. And 5G availability is increasing tremendously on a daily basis. Some of you guys are able to get it in the areas that you're in. Some aren't. And if, where I am, I live in downtown Chicago, I've got a 5G tower outside my window. So I'm getting like 350 meg down, on my AT&T 5G, right? But even on 4G, before the 5G towers went up, I'm getting 80 to 100 meg consistently. And so we bring that enterprise grade wireless touch to your customers. And so as we look at your unbreakable internet, it's really being able to bond those multi-carriers. And you saw live, right, the portal that Bo showed you, 4 different wireless SIM cards, 2 active, 2 in standby, and a wired WAN connection combined together in one box. So no need for multiple devices at the edge. That is so incredibly important. One device to do all of this, and ensuring that the customer has the nimble, redundant network that they're looking for. So somebody in the chat asked about use cases. So to be able to kind of provide you guys with a couple of these, and Bo, please feel free to chime in at any time on these. But one of the first use cases, and where we think it really becomes applicable, is a work from home environment. And this is where we've already run several proofs of concept, and we have customers that are using this today, right? And so the challenge faced is inconsistent home internet. And you probably hear this from your customers. Employees go to work from home, It's great for employee morale, right? But they live in a subdivision where they can only get Optimum, and Optimum sucks, or Windstream, or Comcast, or whoever you want it to be. It's oversubscribed, right? There's too many users at home. Not only is the network itself oversubscribed in the area, but you've got, kids at home streaming video games and watching movies and doing Zoom classes. And it's too much data being used. And so what suffers is the performance of the business applications. You can't really get a good Teams conference call going. Let's say you're in a virtual desktop environment and the VDI application is showing incredible latency and delays. And that just, not only does it decrease employee morale and productivity, but it frustrates the IT staff to no end because they're being blamed for it and it's not their fault, right? And so our solution provides not only the wired home internet ISP, but being able to combine that in with the BroadSky LTE CSD-WAN modem. We give them a redundant, a failover connection, layering in our software elements to provide QoS in a work from home environment, all done on one box. So no additional 4G routers needed, no additional hardware needed, one box that they plug their wired connection into. And as you see sort of on the next slide, with a law firm that we're working with, it provides exactly what the customer needed. So not only did it solve for the poor quality of the Zoom calls and the poor VDI application, but we create a separate SSID, a separate network dedicated to the business, keeping the business traffic and the home traffic entirely separate. So whatever happens on the home network is not visible by corporate, and we are still able to provide QoS and prioritize the business applications over Netflix and Fortnite. So the kids' Fortnite experience may suffer, but at least you're able to contact Citrix and be able to provide great Zoom calls and a great quality of service. So you got 160 work from home employees, lawyers and staff, right? They're not coming back to the office. They've moved away. They've sold their homes and they're going to be working from home pretty much as long as they're able to. And if you don't let them, they'll work someplace else. And so this type of solution allows for the IT staff to take advantage of the existing wired connectivity and then bringing in the best 4G, 5G element possible to create not only auto failover, but a second path for the applications when the home network is either down or oversubscribed. Yeah, I see some questions here in the chat, but I'll get to those in a minute. So second use case, obviously, we look at a failover environment, right? I've got a great primary and secondary connection. I don't know, we're not experiencing any usage. But even within a failover environment, having the unbreakable internet, because you never know when your internet's going to go out. And it could go out for 5 minutes, it can go out for an hour. But what you don't want is for your internet to cut out at the absolute worst time, like on the Zoom call, for example. If Bo would have gone down, we would have all seen it. And it could have been embarrassing for the business, right? But luckily, we've got a great CSD-WAN solution in place, and it keeps everything moving and it keeps it going. And so we can avoid downtime from benefiting the phones, the point of sale systems, any cloud applications, making sure that if I have to stream video 24/7, that we don't ever experience a gap in our digital security. But most importantly, keeping the customer up, keeping them running, and really leveraging the unbreakable internet for business continuity. Anything to add on these, Bo?
No, this is great. I think that the big point here is the redundancy behind the CSD-WAN solution and how many WAN sources can be layered in, depending on business need. How important is that to that business to stay up and running 24/7? Absolutely.
And let's see, we got a couple of questions. First question is there any SLA on this product? Any of the estimated bandwidth amounts guaranteed? So just like anything else, cellular technology is best effort. So while we don't offer a guaranteed SLA like fiber does, being able to put together multiple carriers gets us as close to an SLA as possible. At the very least, we're getting a great experience. So we can put an SLA on uptime, and we can put an SLA on latency, but SLA on speed is really tough to do on wireless products. And then another question we got is, what kind of pricing is this is a good use case for home office? So pricing is, it's going to depend on the situation, right? It's going to depend on the sites and the specific use case and functionality. But I will say we ran numbers, and it's about half the cost of one of the leading SD-WAN solutions out there in the marketplace. So there's branches, depends on throughput, right? But we can, couple $100, as an estimate. So if you've got a specific use case in mind, please reach out to your channel manager, give us an idea of the sites and kind of what we need to look at, and we can give you a more accurate price. But this solution, minimizes the need for additional gear. It's customer managed, so it is going to be much less expensive than what Cisco and VMware have in the marketplace. All right, so to recap, our top 5 takeaways here. Wireless first networking is here. 5G is bringing it faster, and more and more customers are going wireless first. It's not going away. Wired infrastructure is limited by construction and build outs, and so as 5G becomes more available, you have to as a partner be thinking wireless first for your customer. Because if you're not, somebody else is, and we want to make sure that we're providing our customers with the absolute best service possible. BroadSky's CSD-WAN solution focuses on this wireless first technology, bringing lower SD-WAN costs, lower networking costs, and really helping to streamline the edge networking gear. Again, bringing your 4G router, your firewall, and your SD-WAN appliance all into one box. With the highest level, and really the differentiator is the highest level of wireless speed available. Third takeaway, leveraging CSD-WAN technology, giving you fast and nimble networks. And then, with that, really kind of combining points 3 and 4 here in terms of takeaways. Branch sites are growing. Work from home is giving customers more branch sites than ever before. Where you used to have, 2 or 3, 5, 10, 15 people at a branch, now you got one. And they're working from their living room. And so, but you have to give them the same IT experience and the same security, compliancy. It doesn't change anything. So being able to provide, a solution for the modern enterprise is incredibly important and adds tremendous value to your customer. And more importantly, SD-WAN, more affordable than ever with BroadSky. We ran the numbers. This is going to be half the cost of Cisco, half the cost of VMware, Viptela, all the Vs, while providing the best 4G experience that you're going to get from any provider out there. Carrier agnostic, and just overall solid experience. With that, we'll keep it open a little bit to see if there are any other questions being answered. But that, again, we'll be sending this out to all of you guys. Make sure you reach out to your local channel manager with additional questions, or to schedule, some time with Bo to walk through a use case. But with that being said, do we have any additional questions on the line? Anything we can help answer? We'll keep it open here. We've got 6 minutes that we can take advantage of if anybody has any additional questions.
Looks like we had a question. Did we get to the one with food trucks?
Food trucks. Do we have a use case for? We don't have a specific use case for food trucks, but it goes along with the RV and the work from home environment, right? Being able to strap the unit to just about anywhere you need it to go. And so the hardware is nimble. Not only is it powered, obviously, through a traditional power source, we've got the ability to power it over Ethernet as well. And so being able to mount it to the top of a food truck and taking advantage of a multi-carrier environment, so that you've got a Verizon SIM card and an AT&T SIM card, and a third T-Mobile SIM card, right? To be able to take advantage of the best wireless signal no matter where the food truck is parked. maintains business continuity. It's secure for point of sale systems. But more importantly, if you own a fleet of food trucks, this gives you the ability to see kind of what's happening on your network across all sites. So I hope that answers the question, Bo. I don't know if you have anything to add on that.
Yeah, I would just say for Steve that we certainly have had some client success stories on food truck deployments. Typically, just straightforward connectivity, point of sale. But there are some newer use cases that are coming up with clustered environments where all the trucks gather and they rent space. So I'd like to talk to you about some of those applications. Maybe we can schedule some time and.
Yeah, please, Steve, reach out and let's have that conversation. Jim, with an add-on to the question, are there solutions that include antennas to maximize signal availability? Absolutely. And we've got a few flavors of it, right? Whether it's in a home environment, whether it's outdoor, whether it's indoor, antennas that offer the ability to take advantage of what we call omnidirectional, or antennas where we need to point at a specific tower and tune it to a specific frequency. Broad Sky, one of our calling cards is being able to put together not just the router, but the entire environment to make sure that the customer is getting the best wireless signal possible at the site. So if you've got a specific location in mind, please do not hesitate to reach out to your channel manager and give us, so we can do a virtual survey. And if needed, we can even roll a truck to do a physical site survey to figure out what's best needed at the site. All right. Well, with that being said, thank you everybody for your time, and thank you for joining us. Broad Sky is here to support you. So please, again, reach out to your local channel manager for one-on-ones or for any specific use cases. And we're excited to bring this to market, and hopefully we'll have added value to you guys. All right. Take care.